So I got a message recently that I thought would be an interesting topic to get into. It's a question that I get asked pretty frequently in one form or another, um, either by people who are messaging me who have seen my videos, or people I meet on the street who are new to Montreal, or just I don't know. There's a lot of questions around this topic. Um, Given that I'm an English language content creator here in the province of Quebec. So I thought I'd read this question and just kind of give my thoughts on this. It says, "Hello, my name is Caleb. What is up, Caleb? I've enjoyed watching your videos since I discovered your YouTube channel early this year. I've been wanting to move from my home in New Brunswick to start my single life in Quebec City. Single life in Quebec. Although most of my friends and family think it will be extremely difficult for me to get a job, learn the language, and make friends, etc. And it seems that Quebec government is doing everything they can to make Anglophones' life impossible there." Uh, his words, not mine. "I would love if you could spare a minute to give me your thoughts on life in Quebec and whether or not you would recommend moving there." And then he ends by saying, "For context, I'm 23, I don't speak any French, and I don't know anyone who lives there. Also, I love your content." Okay, well, thank you, Caleb, for the nice message. How to approach this one? Okay, so one thing to understand is that I live in the province of Quebec, but obviously I live in the city of Montreal. And my experiences with the rest of Quebec are very low. In fact, I haven't even been to Quebec City. I'm kind of embarrassed to say that because I like to make videos in interesting places, and I know Quebec City is a really interesting city. So I got to get there soon, but I have no direct experience with Quebec City. What I have heard, though, is that the French language is way more widely used than even in Montreal. And that, well, it's the capital of Quebec, right? So in my mind, at least, the population who like most strongly identifies with the Quebec identity and wants to keep Quebec what it is, wants to keep Quebec French, wants to keep Quebec, like the most nationalist people I imagine would be in Quebec. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe. But it's like going to Washington D.C. and being like, "Do I need English?" Well, probably, because I don't know. Does that make sense? Like, it just capitals tend to have. That's where the government is based, and it's Francois Legault's government who is, as you put it, making life impossible for Anglophones. It's definitely not impossible. I'm still living here, though I do speak French. I'm still living here as someone whose first language is English. And there are people in Montreal whose... just the other day, I met with immigrant, refugee, I don't know the word to use, but someone who moved from Ukraine during the war and then has settled here in Montreal and wants to stay, doesn't speak any French. Obviously, we'll have to learn some French to stay. But like to be honest, there's different types of people out there. There's people who really want to learn a language, and there's people who just want to learn like a few phrases to survive, and then that's all they will learn. You said you're 23. When I was 23, I moved to South Korea, and I taught English in South Korea for 8 months. That was before YouTube. There's no YouTube videos from that time. But I found Korean culture to be fascinating, but it's not a place I wanted to live long term. And maybe part of the reason I feel that way is I had no interest in learning Korean. The Korean language is actually called Hangul. They have their own alphabet, which is actually cool. There's like 24 different shapes, and like it's very mathematical. Like there's 24 shapes, and then they make symbols with like three of those shapes, and then like I learned enough about it to appreciate the language, but I was like, yeah, I'm not actually going to learn Korean. If my life had been different, if I had a perfect social circle and a perfect job, and I was like, you know what, I do want to live here, maybe the motivation to learn would come. So, like in your case, I'm not saying like maybe you will land here, maybe you will arrive in Quebec, and then maybe beforehand you're like, oh, I don't speak French, but then you'll come here and it's like being thrown in the ocean. You'll be forced to swim because you'll be forced to learn the language because you want to stay. That's possible. Or it could be like me with Korea. It could be like an interesting year in your life. You get to broaden your horizons a little bit. You get to experience something new, but also you have daily struggles because you can't properly communicate with people around you. Quebec City, the level of English spoken around you, I assume, will be lower than Montreal. Now there might be the chorus like tourist area where they'll be used to like speaking to English speakers and stuff like that, but I think once you get out of that, you're gonna have a tough time. In fact, I was talking to I can't remember who it was, but I was talking to someone who like took a trip to like the countryside of Quebec to like rent a cabin on Airbnb, and it was really confusing how to get there. So they were like calling the guy who owns it, and the guy was like really upset at them for not being able to speak French. He was like, "Why would you come like all the way out here if you don't speak French?" So I don't know if Quebec City is like that type of mentality. Like, why would you move here if you don't speak French? But I think you will definitely meet some of those people. I mean, I've met some people like that who have like questioned why I'm speaking English in Montreal. It's a rare occurrence, but it happens. I mean, frankly, it happens in the comment sections of my videos sometimes too. So like, it's going to be a factor in your life, and I would say if you want to make it happen, start learning now, I suppose would be a good thing. Like get some basic phrases down at least. But other than that, I'm curious, like why you want to move to Quebec City. I'm sure it's a beautiful place, but I don't know. Maybe it's cheap rent. Maybe you may just notice that like Quebec in general has cheaper rent than a lot of this country. Money talks. Money is a big factor, but enjoyment of your life is also a big factor, and not just enjoyment of your life, but like feeling like you're really connected to a community. And I don't think you'll feel connected to the community in Quebec at all if you don't learn the language. At least enough to like, like it's funny I'm answering this today because I just got this. My neighborhood. This was in the mail today. It's just like a event of like, or not an event. It's a little brochure of like winter events, and advice for like. I haven't read it yet, but I'm sure. I think there's some like regulations about snow clearing and like just information that you should know when you live in this neighborhood. And I speak enough French, and I read enough French that I'm going to read this. I plan to read this today, but like for a Quebecois, this will be like 60 seconds just flipping through because it's their native language, right? Like you can quickly, all right, more than 60 seconds. But the point is they could like very easily gather the information from it. Whereas for me, this is almost a homework assignment. Like it's probably going to take me an hour to get through this, and hopefully I'll understand most of it. But if you don't speak any French and you're just like, what's this? And you just throw it away, then you just missed, like you're going to, you might break the law because you don't know the rules that were like told to you in this. Or you might just miss out on the cool events and feel like, oh, this is kind of a like, lonely place to live. Because that's how I felt in Korea. I felt like on Fridays and Saturdays, I didn't know what to do a lot of the time. And that doesn't mean there's no cultural events happening in that country. It's just I didn't know because I didn't speak Korean. So those are my thoughts, Caleb. And yeah, man, appreciate you watching the channel. Appreciate you reaching out. If anyone wants to have their similar questions answered on a format like this, let me know. You can always hit me up on Instagram, send a message, or you can email me or whatever. Yeah, I can't guarantee that I'll like be able to make videos for every question, but I thought this was a relevant one, and I think you're not alone, Caleb. There's a lot of people in that situation that you're in, and I hope this was a bit helpful. And I will catch you next time. Peace.